So welcome guys to our podcast.
Hello.
I'm Daniel and this is my friend Jacob. And this is our first ever podcast together.
Yeah.
And we don't even have a topic yet. We're just going to wing it. So yeah. But this is partially a shout out to Rich Roll, who is my favorite podcaster and YouTuber. My voice cracked. That's terrible. No.
Don't use it. Don't use it.
All my plans to look so cool on YouTube are dashed.
Voice crack.
My
not going
dreams.
in prepared.
Rich Roll is my favorite YouTuber.
That's
That's how much I like him. My voice cracks.
You just weren't ready. You weren't ready for the
I
excitement.
was not ready. But the thing is, so yeah.
I have seen a couple of his stuff on
You
YouTube.
have?
So yeah.
You like it?
Yeah, I do. I
Yeah.
do really like it.
Yeah, he's just
So.
inspiring because like he's like I think he started when he was like 40, so he was like 10 years older than me. He was
Mhm.
like 41 when he started. But his advice is just like, hey, start putting stuff out there.
Mhm.
Just it's no different from my best friend Tim's advice, which
Mhm.
is put stuff out there.
Just do it.
Just do it, man.
I feel like a lot of people get hung up on that.
Right.
Or like they don't know where to start, and so they never do.
Exactly.
But like if you're able, even if it's just goofy, putting something out is better than
Especially if it's
not
just goofy.
doing it at all. Yeah.
Yeah. People need a good laugh once in a while. But yeah, I think that would be a good thing to start with. So speaking of not knowing where to start, my aunt passed away last week.
I'm sorry to hear.
Thanks, Jacob. Yeah, it sucked. But the good thing that came out of it was these cameras. So I bought 3 Sony ZV-1Fs that Jacob and I just put together today and figured
Yeah.
out basically how to use. Very basically.
Very basically.
And
We'll get there.
yeah, we'll get there.
Takes
But
time.
it does. But I was like, there's a lot of people that I have met that I wanted to interview and be able to get their life stories. Oh, would you mind kicking that door close for me, Jacob? Thank you. Perfect. We like to break the third wall in this podcast.
Just casually.
Who cares about pomp and circumstance? But yeah, there's just a lot of people that are dear to me that are
Right.
dying or that I don't have the luxury of being with anymore due to like moving around all the time. And I used to think if I don't, I need to wait till I have enough money or have enough time to start doing these kind of things. But I realized last week is like, I'm never going to have enough money. I'm never going to have enough time.
Mm-hmm.
And now is my chance, So that'd be my encouragement to you guys as well. Like whoever's out there listening, there's always going to be obstacles and challenges. And you got to live like tomorrow is your last day because it might be, So speaking of that, like would you share a little bit about your story, Jacob? Like how did you get here?
Where to start? So myself, so I was born with a congenital heart defect, shortened for CHD. I was born with what's called a heterotaxy heart. So basically, my whole as a whole organ was flipped. And then when it was created, normally you have a left and a right side to your heart, but when mine was created, I believe it's the left side, just mirrored the right. So in reality, I had 2 right sides of a heart making up a whole. So obviously, medically, that's not a great thing because you're supposed to have 4 independent valves, ventricles.
Are they called ventricles?
Ventricles are the actual big blood vessels. And so you're supposed to have 4 individual ones. I had 2 that were correct and 2 that were just mirroring. So I don't remember exactly if basically blood couldn't pump the correct way. And so I had my first heart surgery, I believe a couple of days to a month or so, just after I was born. I believe soon I was born, I was basically put in the NICU, which is baby ICU. And I was in intensive care that whole time. And so immediately they wanted to go in and medically was gonna say trace, but that's not the word. Realign the valves so they work properly. So I had basically like a speedy kind of patchwork version of that for the first surgery. My second surgery was when I was 3 months, and they kind of cleaned up some of that work and made it neater and nicer. They wanted to do some other work in line with it, but the surgeon was worried I was still too little to be able to actually get in where they wanted. And they were worried because being so small, along with the whole condition, I was what's called preemie, so I was even smaller. I
Crazy to
never,
believe right now because you're like
yeah,
taller than
yeah, I'm
me.
taller than Neville. But I didn't meet the normal weights of babies, and I didn't meet the normal size. So I was considered what they call preemie, which is just small, smaller than I needed to be. Um, and I've also on top, if there's even more on top of that, when born, I use less oxygen, or I always run on less oxygen than normal. So by nature, like my fingernails, and if you ever see my nails, are always a purple shade instead of like a normal color shade because there's not 100% oxygen going through my body always at the same time.
Wow.
So I was preemie. They did my second surgery when I was 3 months, and then being so small, they were worried that they might hit something that they didn't need to do, or accidentally, kind of mess up with me being so small, just trying to get in and work around what they needed.
Yeah.
The surgeon estimated probably about a year to 2 years for the third surgery.
Oh yeah, please
You're
silence
fine.
all cell phones.
Yeah. No,
Sorry
you're
about
good.
that.
No worries. No, it's all
Putting
good.
this
We
in
just roll with it.
airplane mode.
It's all good. I was lucky enough. I was doing well. Silence my phone. Now that you're saying that as well. Let's see.
You don't have to. I'm
Do
kidding.
that.
I mean,
No, I did it.
but thank you.
So they estimated about 2 years until my third surgery, but when we went for back a checkup with my cardiologist, I was doing fairly well, more than they had pictured or estimated, and I was just living kind of my life. Obviously, physically I had limitations more than a normal kid. I still do to this day. But I was lucky enough to hold off until I was about 7 years old before they did my third surgery, which is just kind of the way I have been told, is kind of cleaning up what they previously done, and because by then I was bigger, they could be more exact with everything and making sure everything was good. And then more recently, there was the study on so the three surgeries together are named one procedure called the Fontaine procedure. It's a whole there's multiple like different like versions of it, and you can get multiple variations of depending on what heart disease you have. I just happen to hit every single one that's possible. So the three surgery, the heterotaxy, single ventricle. So we talked about the ventricles earlier. There's two main ones. There's one on your left and one on your right. Not only did when my heart was made did it meal, but it didn't form the second ventricle. So I really only had one main one. So that was part of the three surgeries that came later, is they fabricated a whole ventricle.
Did they like make it out of like a pig heart or something? Or I mean,
I don't believe
forgive my
it's
ignorance.
no. It's very good. So currently with Science Today, they are doing. I think they're doing some pig. I know most valves currently are being used from like cow, because I believe the studio.
Okay.
I know prior research was from like pigs.
Yeah.
And I know a couple people who have both. Usually, if you already have, depending on which one you have first, they don't usually go to the other. They just stick with the same.
Sure.
But I know the research currently has been surpassing itself now with all the technology we have now, and I know that kind of view is exponentially growing currently. So that's a great sign in those
Wow.
developments.
Yeah.
In my case, I believe it's a type of just kind of I think it's like a just kind of tubing. That's actually a good question. I should
Is it like
ask
neoprene or
next
something?
time.
Because I know my dad, he had
Um,
like a neoprene thing
I
put around his
think
aorta.
I think it's similar to like a neoprene
Basically, like
tube. Yeah,
surf suit material.
yeah, essentially.
It's crazy, man.
So yeah, I believe that's actually I'm gonna ask next time.
Yeah. Hey,
Next time I
doc,
see my cardiologist, I'm gonna ask 'cause I
yeah.
don't know if
What's my heart made out of?
ever actually ever asked that question.
Does it
So
come with a warranty?
yeah, I wish. Um, but more recently with research of this Fontan procedure, they're looking at kind of not so much side effects, but long-term effects of the procedure. And due to the irregular blood flow from being born, they have found that um, it has put with the procedure, patients that have had the procedure have started later down in life have started to have irregular or increased pressure against like their liver, and so they're starting to find some like liver issues with patients, and so that's something that I think I've been involved with for probably 2 years now.
Yeah.
So every time basically I get a heart catheterization, which isn't every year. No, no, I've definitely been involved with it longer because it's about every 3 to 5 years I get a heart catheterization, which is basically they take
It's
microscopic cameras and go in and see how my heart's doing and kind of a thorough check-in basically with my
Dang.
heart. I've been getting basically liver biopsies, so they just take a little like needle basically, go through my side and take a little chunk of my
Cells?
liver,
Your liver cells?
my liver cells, and then they test that to see like how much. Currently, um, I'm in what they call a stasis. So,
That sounds so cool.
yeah. So
It's like Alien, the movie Alien.
technically, I'm in like my liver's in a stasis, which, so I technically have stage 3 fibrosis, so it's slowly breaking down. But what most people don't know is your liver actually like rebuilds itself. So my current position, and the reason they call it a stasis, is currently my liver is able to regrow as fast as it's breaking down. So currently I'm okay.
Yeah.
But there has been talk in the future about like a liver transplant. There is talk, but
Shoot.
luckily right now it's pretty vague, and we're not looking at that. With any medical history, there has been talk of heart transplant and now liver transplant. But luckily, I've been in good health, and my cardiologist says it's pretty vague talk right now. So I'm thankful for that.
Praise God, man.
So
Like,
yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad you're still
no,
alive.
absolutely. No, I'm.
Yeah. How many
Okay.
how many others like you would you say there exist in America? Because we don't know all over the world, but
Ooh.
you're actually pretty unique. I think you're pretty rare. As far as
I wish I'd be able to tell you like a number about like other people that have like what I specifically have, but like I kind of mentioned earlier, there's so many different variations. I wish I knew the number because there's a multitude of variations of whole of CHD in general, congenital heart defects or disease defects disease. One of them, somebody will qualify it. It's crazy. Fortunately, I think it's in the thousands, if not more, of definitely like in all of California and whatnot. Probably tens of thousands.
Really, of people with this condition?
With CHD, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, so I'm one of the cool things that's come out of like having this condition is I've been able to be a part of this wonderful community of CHD patients. When I was younger, I went to this wonderful camp called Camp del Corazon. Also Camp for Holt, if you translate it from Spanish.
Camp del Corazon,
And it's ran by primarily all medical professionals we have lucky enough to have wonderful donors. It's a nonprofit organization that come together and send about, I think we had about 130 kids, all with some sort of congenital heart defect. And about a month out of the year, generally around Memorial Week, it's the whole camp runs about a month. There's 3 sessions, each about 7 days, pretty sure it's 7 days, 6 nights. Don't quote me.
Yeah.
But we're able to charter all the kids, each session out to a cove that we rent in Catalina, and they get to have basically a safe form of experiencing maybe what like a school camp, or because most people with any form of medical history never really get to experience, or they may be so worried about going to like either if that's like school camps or like church camps.
Right. Because you're so far away from medical attention, right?
We're so far away from medical attention, and more so people in medical attention that would probably know what we would specifically need.
And it's Catalina Island? Is that where you guys go?
So we basically rent a cove out of Catalina.
Yeah. Actually, I have this hoodie I did a field trip with some schoolers from, not schoolers, students from out in Paris. Like, I can't remember what county. Yeah. But, this is from Catalina Island.
Nice.
So that's really cool that you get to go there with your group.
Yeah. So, if I remember correctly, it's about a quarter around, I think, west or something. It's like either a quarter to halfway around from, I just blanked. Twin Hobos, I believe, is like the main hobo at Catalina. I don't remember exactly.
I just remember seeing buffalo on the island. I was like,
but yeah,
well, that's cool.
No, there's been times where buffalo have roamed through our camp, and it's cool. But it's a great nonprofit, and I've luckily enough to have been able to be a camper, and now I'm in the young adult program, which is 18 to 25. This program's under PACE, is the name, and it's the 18 to 25 group, and it's really about transitioning from pediatric care to standard adult care.
Right.
Because as much as we absolutely adore our pediatric cardiologists, them and ourselves probably don't want to talk more about, adult life decisions regarding our health, just as we grow up. And so we help people, 18 to 25-year-olds with that transition, and we do that through a series of workshops and whatnot. And even more than just that, we have cooking workshops, money budgeting, a bunch of other things.
And if you were an 18 to 20 something out there with a congenital heart defect, looking to get involved in this group, is that something that they could look up online and sign up for?
Yeah, absolutely. They could go to it's just campdelcorazon.com.
Okay.
Pretty simple. We also have a Facebook and Instagram group.
Yeah.
So you can look on both of those social medias as well.
Okay. That's great. We'll put the link in the description too for anybody if you're out there and you'd like to get involved, or if you'd like to donate.
Yeah.
Right, because that'd be great too. Get to send more kids out, more Jacobs out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, but yeah.
Wow, and I guess to close, Jacob, I wanted to ask you, what advice would you have for children or young people, like teenagers that are in a similar situation where they have a medical condition, maybe it's a heart thing that they just found out, or even they've grown up with, that they're like feeling limited by, or struggling with, like what would you say to a younger you?
Wow. Younger me. I'd like to think I've always had a pretty good positive attitude about my situation.
You have.
In general.
Yeah.
But I think I've said it to myself before, but I think I wish I would have started saying it sooner when I was younger. I think I would just like to remind myself to, as hard as it can be to do, to try and to not let my condition label me as, oh, this person with this condition.
Right.
And try to like separate myself from my condition, if that kind of makes sense. Like I still have the condition, I still have to work through kind of the issues that come with it, but knowing that I don't have to just be that person with the condition.
Yeah.
And I don't always have to let it hold, like, I don't always have to be super afraid to do some of the things I might want to do. But maybe just to look at it in a different light and just say, well, maybe I can't do this completely, but other parts of it I can do. Or like when it comes to like say sports in the school, because I know a lot of kids with medical conditions in general have that question when they come like say middle school, high school. They're like, well, they think they might not be able to do every sport now because they can't do say basketball, football, whatever. Maybe the sport they really want to do.
Right.
Because of their condition, but I'd like to let them know there's probably something out there that you can find a passion in and pursue and not have to worry about your condition.
Amen, brother. Not to be defined by your circumstances.
Not to be defined by your limitations, but to be able to figure your way around them and be able to strive in other areas.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for starting this podcast with me, Jacob. I'm really excited.
I'm so happy you asked me.
Yeah.
I'm grateful you asked me on, and hopefully we can continue this.
Yeah. And if you have any questions, please feel free to comment.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to see any feedback.
Yeah, we'll do the best we can to reply.
Yeah.
Yep. So, cool. Well, thanks, Jacob, and thank you guys for watching.
Thank you guys. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time. Cool, man. I think that was good.
Yeah?
Yeah.